What's up guys, it's McKeown back again with another quick video to put out today. I'm sure everyone has heard that a Hurricane Ian, has made its way through Florida and is just about to touch base down in the Carolinas. Now, there are a lot of things that people need to know when damage is done to a property. Now, me personally being a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, over the past few years, there's been a couple instances where I've had to deal with this, obviously not to the extent of what people are dealing with Hurricane Ian, but it's going to be a kind of a similar situation. So back in 2021, we had the huge winter storm where a ton of people's pipes burst. You had to go through insurance to get your property taken care of. A lot of people's properties at that point flooded. And then also back in 2019, we had a pretty horrible tornado go through the center of our metroplex that did over $1 billion in damage. Similar situation in terms of just Mother Nature coming through and taking care and wiping out a lot of unfortunate people's either commercial buildings or residential houses. So this video's purpose is to educate you guys that you're gonna have people that come through that are wanting to purchase your property at a severely discounted price. Now, there's obviously a lot of layers to this. Is your house completely demoed? Is your house just flooded and needs to be remediated? That's essentially what happened to my property. The entire first floor had to be teared down to the studs. Then they had to have a mold company come in to make sure that there was no mold. Then basically do the entire first floor of the property. For me, it was about $25,000 in insurance cost, and out of pocket, I think my deductible was about $3,500. So it was an out-of-pocket expense, but on the flip side, I was able to remodel the first floor of my property and essentially yield more rent. But there are gonna be people out there that try to take advantage of you. For instance, let's say if you don't have insurance and there's a significant amount of damage to your property, let's say you've had the property paid off for the last decade or two and you just don't hold insurance, well, there are gonna be people that come through and wanna give you pennies on the dollar for your property. I would highly suggest that you get represented. And what do I mean by getting represented? I mean, get someone in the realm of real estate, whether it be an attorney or a licensed real estate agent, that's going to have your best interest in mind. Now, this can vary obviously for tens of thousands of dollars, upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars, obviously with your property. So it's something that is certainly worth the investment, getting someone that's going to be truly working in your best interest. So yes, I would steer clear of people that are trying to reach out to you. There are going to be people that reach out to you to actually truly help you. There's unfortunately the side of real estate that I don't really enjoy, the wholesaling, the investing side of real estate. I mean, I am an investor, but I'm someone that's not going to take advantage of a person, especially a person that's in such a dire situation that those are going to be in, having been affected by the hurricane. It's not the side of real estate I love. So like I said, make sure that you get someone that's truly going to be backing your best interest. And if you need someone, reach out to me personally, whether it be via my email or my Instagram, or leave a comment down in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to hand you someone off that will be an advocate for you and your property. Now, on the flip side of things, if you had a property that was impacted by the hurricane that you had under contract, there's gonna be a lot of moving parts now. First and foremost, lender's gonna put a pause basically on all purchases that were damaged or impacted by the hurricane. Like a usual purchase, you have an appraiser come out, dictate the property's condition, make sure that it's livable, make sure that it's not in such condition that would require repairs. If that's already been done, or even if it hasn't been done, you're gonna have an appraiser come back out to the property to dictate how much damage has been done, if there's been any damage. And if there has been damage, whether it be, significant or not, obviously if it's a significant amount of damage, then I assume the contract at that point is gonna be a mutual separation at that point. You're gonna have a seller that's not necessarily going to have the time or money to be able to fix all of the issues. And you're also gonna have a buyer that's not gonna wanna sit around for necessarily 6 months to move into the property. So at that point, you're likely going to have a mutual separation of contract where just all the funds are released back to the individualized parties. But let's say it's a similar situation where it's only about $20,000 in just the first floor of the property. Similar to when my duplex flooded, that's a situation that was fixed and remediated in about 2.5 to 3 weeks. It's going to extend the contract, but you're gonna have an appraiser come back out, say what exactly needs to be done. That work obviously has to be done, and then the appraiser has to come back out again for an additional reinspection to make sure that the work has been done, and all parties have to agree to the work and the work's satisfaction, and then at that point you can move forward towards closing. But I can tell you, if you were hoping to close this week or maybe next week, it's an unfortunate situation where you're likely going to be pushed back a little bit. Some properties, obviously with the extent of damage, are going to unfortunately fall through. So there are a few sides of this, guys. Obviously, individuals that had a tremendous amount of damage done where possibly their entire house flooded, where it's gonna be an insurance essentially totaled. For instance, if you get in a car crash and there's so much damage to the car, they're gonna total the car and give you a check. I highly suggest that you get represented in that case, because you need someone to fight for every single last dollar that your property is worth. Insurance companies aren't going to overpay out for your house. So you're gonna have to fight for every single dollar that they give you. On the other side of things, you're gonna have properties that were minimally or minorly damaged, which is in the case where, let's say you had it under contract, you're gonna have to have an insurance come out. You're gonna have to have an insurance company come out, dictate the amount of damage. Maybe you might have to fight back and forth in terms of the overall cost that they're going to deem was actually damaged, get the property fixed and continue to live in it. Or if you were under contract, get it fixed and get it sold. Now, the third kind of option here, let's say you have a new construction home under contract, such as myself. Now, depending on the stage of completion, you're really gonna want someone to go out and inspect the property. Your builder, I hope, will do an inspection themselves, but you also want a third-party company to come out, make sure that the flooding or make sure any of the damage that the hurricane caused is not gonna directly impact you down the road or necessarily swept under the rug. You want to get that taken care of now before, some builders definitely want to patch things up before it's truly seen by your eye or an inspector's eye. So depending on the level of construction, I would get an inspector out as soon as possible and make sure that all is well with your build job. And if it's not, then obviously the inspector will deem X, Y, or Z to be fixed, and the builder certainly should address all issues. And also, I wanted to give an update for those folks that have been following me for quite some time. I do have a girlfriend as well as a property under contract in the North Orlando area. Certain areas over Orlando definitely flooded. It wasn't the direct impact that the hurricane hit. Fortunately enough, they were on the north side of the Metroplex where they reside, and outside of some fences torn down, trees falling down, and just a bunch of debris flying everywhere. Their house fortunately made it through. They were able to keep power the entire time, and there wasn't any significant amount of damage. Now, when it comes to the property that I have under contract, should be finding out today, but that's roughly in the same kind of neighborhood. So I'm assuming there's not a ton of damage done to that property. So as far as an update with that, all is well. Thoughts and prayers go out to all those folks that have been impacted by this hurricane, as well as potentially folks that are about to get hit by it today. And though thoughts and prayers are great, make sure to stay tuned for your local community outreach opportunities. If there's any way that you can give back for those folks that are truly experiencing some of the worst that they may have ever experienced in their life, it truly would mean the world. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help, and stay tuned for the next video.